Hello, everyone. This is our Centenarian Olympics. I'm Demetrius Aguilar.
And I'm Arina Vartani.
To begin, we would like to talk about the possible exercises for our physiological goals of reaching 100 years old. So, at 100, we would like to be able to walk at least half a mile each day, as sedentary lifestyles can only cause negative results and will leave us possibly bedridden at our older ages, and nobody wants that. Another goal would be to able to manage pain effectively without the reliance on medication. Currently, we're seeing opioid issues and addiction throughout the world, and especially when we reach our older ages, there's more of a reliance on medication to keep pain at bay when there are measures that we can start today that will prevent lifelong ailments such as chronic pain or not being able to walk half a mile each day. So our body changes as we age. Physical activity and functional fitness equally decrease in both men and women, and there is actual percentage amounts of the amount of strength that we lose each year. So the reason for the physical activity and functional fitness decreasing would be a loss in muscle strength, and it greatly reduces in all body regions with the additional changes of like our body fat percentages increasing, our flexibility decreasing, our agility decreasing, and our endurance decreasing. When it comes to our upper body limbs, such as our arms, there's a 1% decrease in our strength once we reach around 55 years old. And then once we reach 75, that figure increases to 3.4%. And then for our lower limbs, the loss of strength is even greater at around 4% when analyzing a few years as compared to the upper limbs.
So, one of the many reasons exercise is so important is because aging causes insulin resistance and it even declines glucose tolerance. In older people, plasma glucose and insulin concentration is so much higher than in younger people, even in older adults who have normal glucose tolerance. The reason behind all of this is because the older we get, the less active we become. So it is very important to be active. In an experiment done by John Curvan and his colleagues, 12 people who were around the age of 65 years old were put to test. They had to go through endurance exercise training to see whether or not their insulin and glucose levels would go to normal. In this experiment, they found out that their VO2 levels increased because of the exercise. This experiment helped understand that exercise does indeed reduce hyperinsulinemia and improve insulin action in 65-year-olds. So here we see two graphs. Um, the one on the left we have is the plasma glucose levels from the inactive older adults that were experimented on, and the one on the right we see the insulin concentration during an oral glucose tolerance test of older people before and after exercising. We could see that the older people who exercised have lower glucose levels. We could see that exercise helped lower insulin for the older people more than their glucose levels. So people who exercised had lower insulin levels, but not as much as they did for the glucose. There are significant differences in glucose levels between older adults who exercise and those who didn't. These are so important because one of our goals is to be able to stay off medication. And if we exercise and have low insulin levels, then we won't need to use a lot of medication. In another article written by Dr. David Buchner, he mentioned how we lose muscle strength if we don't exercise. In our other goals, we talk about how we want to be active. And in order to be active at 100 and walk a mile, we need to make sure that we exercise a couple times a week in order to keep our muscles strong. Dr. Buchner mentioned how most healthy adults are able to do high intensity training. High intensity training involves training where muscles are exercised to the point of exhaustion, and this is done by setting the weight lifted at each repetition at 60% to 80% of the maximal weight a person can lift. And he saw that most of the healthy older adults were able to do that. Dr. Bushner talked about an experiment that was done to older and younger adults. The younger and older adults were trained at the same relative intensity in the same program. It was found that their levels increased, their VO2 levels increased. Their overall supply of oxygen was very close to each other. Healthy older adults can withstand training and endurance at high strength. VO2 max is the product of maximum cardiac production and the muscle's maximum capacity to remove oxygen. Both components of the VO2 max tend to be influenced by long-term training. So all of our goals require us to be active, and in order to do that, we need to include exercise into our lives for now and the long run. The older we get, the more we forget to do stuff. We don't walk as much, we're not active as much, and it is really important to do all those stuff. Besides high intensity training, there are also other ways that our bodies can stay active.
Some more possible exercises can include walking, calisthenics, and physical therapy and stretching. So right now, while we are younger and we are not yet 100 years old, it's important to walk every day. We need to reach 10,000 steps a day, and that's a healthy amount for a daily amount of steps. So just walking a mile every day so that you can, before you reach 100, can greatly increase the possibility of you being able to walk at least half a mile once you are that age. Walking is very important and it's something that everyone can do and it's not time consuming at all. The next would be calisthenics and physical therapy. Movement, no matter the duration or level of intensity, is needed on a daily basis and it combats the negative effects of a sedentary lifestyle. Calisthenics and physical therapy, or you can combine them into one, is a perfect way where you don't need to spend money on a gym or go out of your way to different places to work out. These are body weight exercises that you can do at home in small spaces, such as push-ups, sit-ups, uh, and the most equipment you would possibly need would be like a pull-up bar in order to do pull-ups of that sort. And you can start at very low intensity levels. And as you progress, you can reach higher, more intense levels where you are much more capable of doing crazier exercises. Another possible thing is stretching. Stretching before bed or even after waking up in the morning is incredibly beneficial to your body. Stretching keeps both the range of motion and flexibility at peak performance while combating muscle tightness and pain. I've noticed that I've recently started stretching for this project and my body has been much better. I have experienced less pain and I have increased my flexibility to a certain extent in only a month's period. Another possible exercise is swimming if you have a swimming pool. Swimming is a great form of low intensity exercises. You can really move your body in the water and combat gravity in that setting. So this is the physical therapy and calisthenics continued. As you can see, the physical activities encouraged for those with chronic pain. Any form of physical movement is far better than sedentary lifestyles, and tailored plans are most effective. This was by Ambrose and Golightly in 2015 in their article. We do see that tailored plans are much more effective because everybody's a little bit different. So if there's a way that you can tailor a calisthenics plan to your own body, it will be even more beneficial to you in the long run. That's why I was talking earlier about low intensity and increasing that to high intensity when the time comes, of course. So what did we learn? To accomplish our set goals, we must train throughout our lives. It is very important to start while you can. You must start now. You can't wait next month or a year from now or 2 years from now. You can't start when you're already feeling pain or, once you're closer to that 100 years old. No, you have to start now. And it can be as low intensity or high intensity as you can possibly do. And it can be as short of a time span or as much of a time span that you have throughout the day. Change is bound to happen to our bodies. We're going to get older and our bodies will deteriorate with age. We have less muscle strength, less accessibility, less endurance, and we can prevent that. Preventative measures are crucial. Everything comes down to how much you can prevent. If you can start now, come the time when you are older, you'll have a lot less pain, you'll be more flexible, and you'll be able to enjoy life a whole lot better. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.